Hi friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel, where today I am going to show you how to make this beautiful cable that I used on this absolutely stunning blanket that I just released. I am in love with this pattern. It is made using Lion Brand's Heartland yarn in Bryce Canyon. I designed this pattern in 2 sizes. The reason for that is because the way that this repeat works out, it was kind of hard to make a lot of different sizes with it that were proportionally correct, that looked good with these big repeats and the cables. So it's written for 2 patterns, but it would be definitely very easy for you to modify once you kind of get through the pattern and understand how it's all put together. But for the actual written instructions, it's written in just 2. It's written in a baby blanket size and a throw blanket size, which is this one that I made. For both of those sizes, the baby blanket size, you will need 6 skeins of Lion Brand Heartland, which is about 1,500 yards, or to make the throw blanket size, you will need 10 skeins of Lion Brand Heartland, which is about 2,500 yards of worsted weight yarn. I did this with a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, and I am considering this an advanced pattern only because of these cables. They are fairly simple, but just like in anything else that you do, it's just very important for you to keep track of your stitch counts and your stitch placement and the number of rows that you're working, so that this way everything lays out properly. But otherwise, it is a pretty straightforward pattern. There's some thinking that goes on here, and then you get a little bit of a break when you work through these big chunks of puff stitches. And then once it's all done, you just put a simple single crochet border on it. Heartland is one of my favorite yarns to wash and dry because it just gets so soft and so squishy, and the drape on this yarn is absolutely fantastic. If you're using something else, make sure that you test your swatches beforehand for washing and drying to make sure that they will hold up over time. But so anyways, I'm going to be showing you how to make this cable today, and for the purpose of today's tutorial, I am not using Lion Brand Heartland. 1, because I completely ran out of yarn, but 2, you might be able to tell on camera, this yarn is really hard to pick up accurately. My camera isn't sure what to do with it. It's trying to balance itself between my hands and the actual color of the yarn, and it's making it difficult to see everything. So I will be using, for today's tutorial instead, I'm going to use some 24/7 cotton and I don't know, look, I've used this hook so much I rubbed it off, so that must mean this is my 6 millimeter hook. So I'm going down half a size and I'm using a different yarn, but that is fine because the tutorial is only to show you how to make that cable, and it doesn't really matter what yarn we are using. So let me get us set up and I will pop right back in to show you how to make this beautiful cable on my newest cabled blanket. Okay, so to do this cable repeat, I actually decided to go down to a 5.5 millimeter because I started my swatch using the 24/7 and it was a little bit too loose for my liking. So this cable is worked in multiples of 10. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to make a foundation single crochet of 10 stitches to start. So here I have my 10 foundation single crochet stitches. This is the row 1 instructions. We're then going to turn, and I'm going to single crochet across in each stitch, and in my case it's a total of 10 single crochet, and these numbers will change based upon whichever size it is you are making for your blanket. I do not chain 1 at the beginning of any of the rows within this pattern because I do have a fairly loose tension and I do not need a chain 1. So I'm going to single crochet across until I have 10 stitches, and that is going to be what the row 2 instructions are in the pattern. Again, it's dependent upon what size you're making, so either I think 110 or 110 and 150 I think is the total number of stitches. So now I'm going to do the row 3 instructions, which is the setup for the cables. So I refer to this, if you go into the pattern notes, I refer to this as the cable foundation, because you want to get these stitches just right so that the rest of your cables work up properly. If you don't get these right, the base of your cable is going to be a little bit wonky, and it could just mess up the flow of your cables going the entire way up in each section on the blanket. So row 3 starts out, we have to turn, and we need to first place a single crochet in this first stitch, and then we have to front post double crochet in each of the next 2 corresponding foundation single crochet stitches. So what that means is the corresponding stitches are the ones directly below the stitches that we are skipping. So we worked in this first one, and we are going to place 2 foundation double excuse me, I'm going to try my best not to mix this up. 2 front post double crochets in the 2 corresponding foundation single crochets. Those 2 F's for the foundation and front post are it's like a tongue twister to me. So we come down into those foundation single crochets, and we're going to place 2 front post double crochets in each of those. You then have to make sure that you skip the single crochets behind, and then we need to single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then we need to skip 4 foundation single crochets. So 1, make sure that I'm close enough to the camera so you can see this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we are going to front post double crochet, I got that right, in each of the next 2 foundation single crochet. So what that's going to do is it's going to kind of pull them over on an angle. Let me show you that. So if I stretch this out, you could see, because we only single crocheted 2 here, but we skipped 4, it's pulling these over. Now, what we are going to do is we have to front post double crochet back, working over the 2 that we just created and in front of them. That's very important. You need to keep track within which row you're working on, whether you work in front or behind your post stitches, and that's going to create the weaving effect. So for this first row, this first cable foundation row, which is row 3 in the pattern, we are working back and over the 2 that we just created. So we have to create our front post double crochet in the 2 skipped foundation single crochets. Oh gosh, the children. Now be very mindful of your tension when you're working back and forth over these, because if you make your post stitches too tight, it can kind of scrunch up your cables. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you steam and block everything out, it should loosen up enough that it's not a problem. But again, it'll just make it easier if your tension is good from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we will single crochet in this last stitch, which in my swatch is the 10th stitch. Now again, the cables are worked over 10 stitches. So for the baby blanket, which has 110 stitches, that means that you are going to have 11 sets of cables, and for the throw blanket size that has 150 stitches, you're going to have 15 sets of cables. Okay, so that was row 3. We now will turn, and for row 4, we have to single crochet across in each stitch. So again, it will be a total of 10 stitches, because the stitch count does not change between the rows, whether you are working single crochet rows or rows with the foundation. The number of stitches do not change between rows that are only single crochet and rows that have the front post double crochets to create the cables. The stitch count is always the same. So a really good tip, if this is your first time doing cables, oh goodness, if this is your first time doing cables, is to get a couple of stitch markers and mark your first and last stitch within your cable repeats, so that this way when you do it, if you have more or less than 10 stitches within those stitch markers, then you're going to know that somewhere in that section is where you messed up your stitch count by either dropping or adding a stitch. So that's a good tip if you're a beginner. Even if you're not, if this is just the first time you're trying cables, mark that 1st and 10th stitch, and then you should always have 10 stitches between them, and then this way you know when you'll be able to easily troubleshoot where you messed up your stitch count. Okay, so on to row 5. This is the next part of the cable. We have to, row 5, turn, place a single crochet in the first stitch, and then we are going to front post double crochet in each of the next 2 front post double crochet. So we are front post double crocheting straight down. We then need to skip our 2 single crochets behind, single crochet in the next single crochet, and then we are going to front post double crochet in each of the next 2 front post double crochet. So because in row 2 we worked over, that means we're working these 2 that are behind those ones, so you have to be really careful about picking them up. Make sure you're not grabbing any other parts of the stitches. Place a front post double crochet in that next one, and then place a front post double crochet in the one after that. I know, you see, I'm kind of grabbing my other one. Okay, so there we go, I got it. Pull it through, and now you can see that it's kind of pulling these ones up and back over so you could see them again. Make sure you skip 2 single crochet behind, single crochet in the next, and then we are going to front post double crochet again in each of these next 2, and in my case they are the last 2 within my repeat. Skip 2 single crochet, and then single crochet in this last single crochet. Turn, and row 6, single crochet back across. In my case it's only 10. That's row 6. Now row 7 is another cabling row. We will turn, single crochet in this first stitch. Okay, so we single crochet in our first stitch, and then here what we're doing, we have this set of front post double crochet and this set of front post double crochet, and what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be crossing them. And in order to do this, we're going to also having to be working behind our front post double crochet stitches. So within row 7, it's very important for you to be really careful with your tension so that it's easy for you to go behind your stitches and see everything. So single crochet 1, and then we're going to skip these first 2 front post double crochet, and we are going to front post double crochet in these next 2. So again, be really careful with your tension here. If this is the first time you've ever done cables, you might want to make these cables a little bit, or these front post double crochets a little bit looser than you normally would, just so that you have some space to work behind them. You then are going to come back and work behind. So let me try my best to show you exactly how it is that I do that. So I'm going to do my yarn over, and I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to get it behind these stitches, right? See how I'm going behind? And then I'm going to come over here and I am going to grab this first one that I skipped, see that? And I'm going to pull my hook around and I'm going to pop these 2 front post double crochets forward. See how I kind of popped this forward? So now it's in front of my hook. I'm then going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over. So that was just to get it wrapped around, and then yarn over, pull through 2. See, this is where it gets a little difficult. Pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again, and that creates that front post double crochet. And see, it's kind of behind. Now here what's going to happen is these are going to kind of twist around each other, so you have to be really careful when we come back with our return pass of our single crochet. Now we're going to do that again. So I'm going to yarn over, get behind these 2 front post double crochet, come into that second one that we skipped at the beginning, get my hook under it, pop these over while I'm still holding onto that stitch, and then I'm going to complete my front post double crochet as I normally would. And so now what that's done is it's twisted them around each other, and it's put one behind, it's put these 2 behind these other 2. make sure that you skip 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet in the next 2 for row 7, and then front post double crochet straight down into these last 2 front post double crochet, skip 2 single crochet behind, which then would mean I have 1 stitch left, so I'm going to single crochet in my last stitch. And so that is now row 7. So you can see these crossed and now these crossed. These ones we worked over and these ones we worked behind. So now I'm going to turn, and this is going to be row 8. And so I'm going to single crochet back across a total of 10 stitches. When you get to this portion where we had to work behind, see how this is a little twisted up? You can, if you need to, kind of pull this apart so that you could see each of your stitches, so that this way you don't skip anything. So now we're going to start row 9, which starts by placing 1 single crochet in this first stitch, and then we are going to front post double crochet in each of the next 2 front post double crochet. And we have to remember to skip 2 single crochet behind here, single crochet in the next, and then we are going to front post double crochet in the next 2 front post double crochet, which are behind the 2 that we just worked. So you gotta kind of get behind these 2 that we just worked, and then come around the back of your, well, in my case swatch, but in your case blanket. So you come back behind and kind of hook around that first front post over there, and then you get it to the you're gonna bring it forward to get it to the front of your blanket, or swatch in my case, and then you will complete your stitch. And then you're gonna do that again on the next one. So get back behind here, find it, and then pull it through, get it back to the front, complete your stitch. Make sure that you skip 2 single crochet in the next. And then we are going to come down and we are going to place a front post double crochet in each of the next 2 front post double crochets. Skip 2 single crochets and place 1 more single crochet. Oops. Okay. So there's no crossing of those, but we do have to work behind the ones that we crossed. Now for row 10, we are going to single crochet across. In my case, it's only 10 stitches. In your case, it's either, 110 or 150. So now we will turn, and we are going to be doing row 11 in the repeat. And this is the last row before you go back to the beginning and repeat from row 5 in the pattern. So these first couple of rows are not part of the repeat, because this is where you're setting it up, working in the foundation single crochet, and the repeat is from rows 5 to 12. Yep, yeah, 5 to 12. Here we go. Row 11, we are going to single crochet in our first stitch, and then we are going to front post double crochet straight down into these first front post double crochets, each of these next 2. Excuse me, I'm not reading directly from the pattern, so, you know, I'm talking to you as if we were sitting right next to each other. So excuse me if I'm not reading directly from the pattern and it's confusing. I'm just hoping that this helps you with stitch placement. Anyhow, so 2 front post double crochets straight down into each of these next 2. Skip 2 single crochets in the back, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet again in the next. Okay, so now what we have to do is we need to skip these 2 front post double crochets and front post double crochet in each of the next 2. And now in row 11, we do not have to work behind these. We are going to work back over them. So come back to the 2 that we skipped. Again, be really, really mindful of your tension here. You can make these double crochets kind of loose. You could, even if you wanted to, you could do treble crochets if you find that these crosses are too tight for you. If this is your first time doing cables, or if you just have tight tension to begin with, you could do trebles. But, you know, play around with that a little bit. And since we just created 2 front post double crochets forward, and then 2 front post double crochets back for a total of 4. We need to skip 4 single crochets and place our last single crochet in this last stitch, and that is the last stitch on row 11. Turn, and we are going to single crochet back across, which is row 12, and that completes, oops, see here where these are kind of twisted, you could pull those apart. Coming back across for our return pass of row 12, this is the final row within the repeat for these cables. So you will jump back in the pattern to row 5, which will be, again, just straight down cables. So you'll do a single crochet. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Okay, so this is now the repeat of the pattern, which to start it out, it's a repeat of row 5. So we will single crochet in the first stitch, front post double crochet into each of the next 2 front post double crochets, skip 2 single crochet in the next, and then come down and front post double crochet in each of the next 2, which are kind of behind. So again, you're going to have to kind of play around getting your hook in there. Skip 2 single crochet in the next, and then front post double crochet straight down into each of the next 2 front post double crochet, skip 2 single crochet, and then single crochet in the last stitch. So that would be the first row of the cable repeat, which is row 5. You would then turn and single crochet back across. And so you could see what's happening is you are crossing and then crossing again and crossing again, and then you'll come here and you'll cross again, and then you'll come straight down, you'll cross again, and you'll keep working that all the way up however many times it is that you want to make this cable. If you're following the blanket pattern, you are only going to do this repeat twice. So you'll do this one and then another one, and that is the cable, which let me again grab it. Let's see. So you could see it's this piece right here is the repeat, and then you repeat it again. Do you see? So it's a super simple little repeat. It's only these couple of rows, and then they stack on each other and they make this beautiful cable that looks like this beautiful flat braid. Thank you guys so much for following along. I hope that this was helpful. Please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel and keep me encouraged so that I keep working on making these videos better for you guys. Like I've said before, I am looking into different setups to try to make the videos themselves better quality, to get rid of some of these shadows, because like today it's kind of a somewhat sunny, somewhat overcast day here in Florida, and it's changing on me and it's messing up with some of my lighting, and I really have to just invest in a lighting setup. But I'm doing a ton of research, because in anything that I do, I like to research probably more than is necessary, but eventually I will make a decision. So make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you all very, very much.